All is mine. I want to talk to you tonight about a project that we have coming up called 3030 Upland Parkway. This development is actually not too far away from here. It's over kind of diagonal by the Croc Center on a vacant piece of land. It is now owned by the Omaha Housing Authority. This is going to be a 74-unit development. All right, what we're here to do tonight is to provide contracting opportunities for this development. Our general contractor is Brester Construction, and Neil with Brester will be up here in a minute to talk more about the details of this project and the bidding opportunities. But of course, the bidding opportunity is for 3030 Upland Parkway, as it says on the slide. We are encouraging all contractors, subcontractors, to take this opportunity to submit bids to Brester. We have several organizations here in attendance. Omaha Chamber of Commerce, Catholic Charities, Nebraska Enterprise Funds, and others to provide assistance, encouragement, guidance. If you are a small emerging business, a minority-owned business, a women-owned business, to take advantage of their resources to help you if you would like to submit a bid or grow your business. We'll have time after the presentation for you to outreach to them. And then if you need some assistance after listening to this presentation, Zach Rosa over there, Zach, you want to raise your hand? He's there with the city to help you with Davis banking questions or other types of questions you might have about the project, in addition to Neil at Brester. Again, I mentioned this, there are several organizations here scattered throughout the room, around the room to provide assistance. This is like a list of all of them that are willing to help out. I'm not going to introduce all of them. You can find them on your own. But thank you so much for taking your time to be here tonight and providing assistance. They have been great partners through all of these developments. We've had outreach meetings like this for projects in both North and South Omaha, and they have attended all of them, and we greatly appreciate what they have done. Here's our agenda for tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about the Choice Neighborhoods Initiative, introduction to the project, an overview of the bidding process, view of the governmental requirements. There are federal funds in this project, and that always comes with lots of documentation, Q&A, survey and technical assistance following. The Choice Neighborhood Program, the City of Omaha and the Omaha Housing Authority received a $50 million grant from the United States Department of Housing to spur redevelopment of the Southside Terrace Garden Apartments, Southside Terrace housing, which is right up the street here, or right down the street, sorry. I used to live in South Omaha, I don't know my direction, so I apologize. The large area in orange on the left-hand side of the map is Southside Terrace. The other orange areas are some of the redevelopment phases that we have in the neighborhood. 3030 Upland Parkway is the one closest to the bottom of that map, right next to Upland Park. That is the location of this development. The map on the right shows our 5-phase on-site redevelopment phase. We have 10 total development phases with this project. It's 745 about housing units that are going to be built in South Omaha. There is one development that is up by Exarban Village. We have one coming up out of the ground right now, that is Southside Terrace Phase 1. We have another one, Southside Terrace Phase 2, that is breaking ground. You've probably seen on the news or driven by the demolition of the former public housing in that area. We have 8 more development phases, so it's a great opportunity, I think, for contractors to get their foot in the door early on these developments and grow their business or start their business. So we appreciate you being here. A little bit about the construction timeline. I didn't bring my glasses, so I apologize. In yellow there on the slide and in your handout is 3030 Upland Parkway. That kind of gives you an idea of where we're at in this overall development process. It looks like, let's see this, but I'll just go off memory. We hope to close on this project in September or October, breaking ground shortly thereafter. I'm really pushing for September and hoping to be complete with construction by the end of 2027. That's when the building must be placed in service. As that construction goes on, Y Street Townhomes, which is another project Well, if we go back to a couple slides, that would be to the left or to the west of 3030 Upland Parkway. There's some lots there that have never been developed in South Omaha. We are going to put 14 townhouse units on that site. So that will be under construction. Oops. That will be under construction at about the same time. We have not had a contractor outreach meeting for that development. That will come later in the year, so be on the lookout for that. As I said, Southside Terrace Phase 2 is under construction. Southside Terrace Phase 3, we will close on that, financial closing in December, and break ground in December. Probably January or February is when construction will begin. I don't think we've had a contractor outreach meeting for that project yet. That should be upcoming sometime soon. And then there's some additional projects such as Southside Terrace Senior, Phase 4, St. Anthony's, and Southside Terrace Phase 5 coming up in subsequent years. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Neil? I'm going to turn it over to Neil with Brester to kind of carry us through the next couple of slides. And then after that, it will be turned over to the city to talk about some of the government regulations.
I don't know if I'll use the mic, but hopefully everybody can hear me. If you can, I want to keep this informal best we can. If you have questions, just raise your hand. I mean, nobody likes to be the first guy that raises their hand, but if you have a question, some other guys are going to have the same question too. So, sorry about that. Again, I'm Neil Tilgen. I work for Brester Construction. I've worked for Brester for going on 24 years. Some of the other gentlemen that are listed on that board up there, there are going to be other gentlemen that will be on the site pretty much daily throughout. So if you get a word of the project, you'll likely run across their names somewhere during the course of the project. Gary Counts is our superintendent. We just got done, him and I just got done with a project for Renshaw, project called Davis Ridge, just off North 30th Street. So it's a great project. But he was my superintendent and did a great job, I feel. So those other guys that are listed up there, they've got a lot of experience, at least 20 plus for each one of them. Greg's got 45, about soon to retire. But so if I don't have a question, I've got a good staff of people behind me that certainly know what to do. So for this project, these are kind of some of the highlights that are kind of the key things. This project for 3030 Upland is apartments and townhome. The apartment itself is 71 units, 4 stories. Both projects are wood framed. The townhouse has 3 units. But some of those items are kind of the key elements that we'll talk further upon. But 97,000 square feet. These are large units. The units are all pretty much finished the same. There's a lot of key elements that. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Thank you. Will the presentation be made available to us?
Yes. Yeah, well, all the attendees will get a copy of the presentation sent to them after. There's also copies on the City of Omaha table there if you would like one now. So.
Okay. Good question though. This project, the project that I've been involved in the past, a lot of them are 1, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. This kind of has it all. It's 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, 5 bedroom, and even a 6 bedroom one. So there's a lot of variety to it. But a lot of the same elements that are in the townhomes are also in the apartment building itself. So a lot of good features, a lot of good amenity features. So I'll bring up some other slides that'll kind of show the outline of the map of the site plans and such that'll kind of go into a little bit deeper on that. So. I guess also with this, I guess our phasing of the project, the way we do things is with our experience that we have. Like I said, Brester's been around since 1982. We do a lot of multifamily, kind of like to say our bread and butter. We do a lot of multifamily and have always done a lot of multifamily. We also build schools, churches, hospitals, the 9 yards of everything, but primarily multifamily is where we kind of found our sweet spot. So. But with this one, we're going to build it kind of in 2 towers. So the apartment building, that's the biggest one. So we're going to attack that one first. We'll build kind of an east tower and a west tower. We'll build up the east tower first, work our way down from there with finishes. And then while we're getting done, so the framer gets done, up on 4th floor of the east tower, he's gonna jump over and start the west tower. A little bit different than what some guys do, but we found that it works best for us because it opens the door for more trades to get in. We get in faster, we have a faster schedule. Ultimately, the owner gets the building sooner. So this is kind of the site plan for the project. Again, we've got the townhome component. There's a 6-unit, a 3-bedroom, and a 4-bedroom unit in there. And then the apartment building, the very east side is the amenity side, which I'll show a blow up of that later on. And then first floor, there are 8 units within there. Those units kind of act like their own little townhome. There's no center corridor. They stack front to back, so you have your own little entrance. Nobody's running down the hallways or doing anything like that. That first floor is pretty much just your little townhome slice of heaven. So once you get up to 2nd and 3rd floor, and 4th floor, that's when they go back to more conventional units. 2 stair towers, common corridor. So if you like stairs, you can take stairs. If not, there's a set of 2 elevators in there too you can access. Both buildings have fire sprinklers, both wood frame. And I guess a lot of the finishes, like I said before, they're pretty much the same, whether you're in the townhomes or in the apartments. This is the amenity area, fairly large amenity area. Down in the lower right-hand corner, you've got the leasing office. There's a lounge area just off the bat, off the main entry. Kind of bathroom groups back to the right-hand side. There's a community room that I'm assuming that the owner will rent out or lease out, or however, if you have parties or mitzvahs, kids' birthday parties, whatever, they can use that space. Next to that, kind of right in the center, there is they call it a flex room. And in that room, there is, I guess, kind of a gathering area where they will probably have training seminars. I think there's going to be TVs in there, potentially maybe movie night, something like that. That flex room also serves as the storm shelter. So you're going to say, Neil, how do I get in the storm shelter if I live on the 1st floor? Because there's no common corridor. Well, on the very top side, there's a separate kind of storm shelter on the top that you'll access from the outside. A little bit different, but that top side, the townhomes will be able to access that storm shelter too. So hopefully it's a big and safe space, but it does kind of multi-purpose for what they need. Off to the left of the flex room, there's a workout room, and on the very left-hand side, there is a trash room, recycling area. So tenants can just, there is a trash chute, so tenants can just throw their stuff 4th floor all the way down. So. And then this is kind of typical units. The one on the far left is a unit that is on the 1st floor of the apartments. And on that one, again, kind of runs front to back on that 1st floor. So you got a patio on the very bottom. You also have another patio on the very back side. So again, it's your kind of little slice of heaven. The middle unit is what I would say is a typical unit. That is a 2-bedroom unit, and that would be found in between 2nd to 4th floor. And then the very far right set of drawings, that is what would the townhouse be. Again, 2-level. Appliances are included in all of the unit types. Again, you kind of see the same common theme of the kitchen islands. Pretty much all of them have a kitchen island. It's a good place. We all congregate around there. So kind of a nice feature, in my opinion. So let's kind of get on to the nitty gritty. So the reason why you guys are all here. Prester, in my opinion, we're good at what we do. You guys are good at what you guys do. Again, we all have problems with manpower, trying to find it. So there's only so many guys that I have to do the scope of work that I need to do. So that's why we're asking you. I'm not a licensed electrician, plumber, or HVAC guy. So that's why we need your guys' help. So with that, a lot of these areas are areas of scopes of work that we need bids in, or we'll take bids in. So pretty much as us as the GC, we will do a lot of blocking and backing. We will do fire caulking, some rough carpentry type things, but the rest of the stuff, that's where your guys' expertise comes in. Now, there are areas where we will do composite decking. I've got guys that can do that, but if you guys can do it less expensive, why would it only make sense for my guys to do it when you guys probably have manpower to do it and can do it cheaper? So that's why we're asking for bids from you guys. So our bid process, and if you guys have not received a bid invite from me or through some of the other avenues, there is a sign-up sheet at the Brester table. There's actually two, a couple different copies. So make certain that you sign up, and I will get you guys your bid invites sent out. So we've already, at this point in time, Addendum 1 has already been issued. Addendum 2 is supposed to be issued possibly tonight, maybe tomorrow. And then Addendum 3 will be issued potentially next week. So with that, I want to get that in your guys' hand. But if I don't know who you are, I can't send it to you. So please, if you guys have not signed up and haven't received an email from me, sign up on those sheets. But with that, make certain I get your company name, your guys' name, your phone numbers, and certainly your emails, because that's how everything's being distributed. So as of right now, contract documents have been issued via Job Planner Outlook. That's the most convenient means for me to send you guys plans. Now, somebody did tell me that they were not able to open the PDFs that I sent them. So again, if you have problems or have questions with that, that's the reason why we're here, is I want to see that you guys did this stuff. So if you can't open something, let me know. Today's day and technology is great, but we all have those problems with email sometimes and technical issues, so it could be my end too. So just let me know. We are asking for bids on July 22nd, 10 a.m. I will not accept late bids, because if I accept it for you, then I have to accept it for the next guy and the next guy. So please make certain that you have it in on time. And then again, as you go through this bid process, please, please, please ask questions. Because if you have the question, the next guy's gonna have the same question. And we might as well get it to the architect so that they can issue the addendums and get these questions answered. Plus, it also helps Bryn Shore and the owners of the project. If these are answered now, then there's no questions later on. Plus, we get the pricing where we need it to be right now instead of change order central later on. I don't like change orders. So, bid submission, you can send it to me at my email address. Again, there's cards over there, so if you have or need my email address, it's that. You can also send it to bids@bresterconstruction.com. And if you're still old school and you have a fax, you can send me a fax too, but it's been quite a few years since I think I've gotten a fax from anybody, so feel free. Or last resort, you're certainly welcome to hand deliver it to me down in Lincoln at that address. That's our main office. So, and when you submit your bid, please make certain that you have your company name on top, your phone number, your contact, so that if I have to call you and we have to clarify a few things, I can get a hold of you. I've had bids before in the past where people don't put that on there, so I don't have a means to contact you. I can't contact you. But also put the job name on there too, because we've got a couple bids that are happening right around the same time of July 22nd, and so I just want to make certain that your bid doesn't get intermingled in with theirs. So. Bidding requirements. We all know that it takes time and effort to put a bid together, so we take it just as seriously as what you guys do, because it takes a lot of time and effort, and we all know that that costs money. So I don't want to see you go through the effort of putting together a bid if I can't use it. So some of these are the requirements that we have. So when I get a contract from the owner, if we get this thing rolling, and I get a contract from the owner, a lot of those same terms that are in my contract with the owner will be in yours. And that's what some of those items are up there. So a lot of them are SAM.gov, the section 3, the Davis Bacon. So if I've got them in mind, I need to make certain that they're in yours too. So you'll see a lot of that information as well. The other one is the contractor's database. That one's not listed up there, but you gotta be on the contractor's database. I think it's Nebraska law, but that's another big one. One of the other big ones is the workmanship. So if we all take pride in our work, And if I'm required to provide a 1-year warranty, you kind of have to as well. So those will be terms of your contract as well if you're doing some work. Schedule is another big one because that's what drives the project, right? So schedule with us, we'll issue a schedule early on in the job. But if you're a trimmer and we're doing site grading, I don't need you to hit a lot of our lean meetings. But when drywall's getting done and here's my trimmer, you need to be there. The other big thing is some guys say, hey, I do this as a side gig, I trim at night, or on the weekends. Probably not gonna happen because to do that, that means you're working at 3 a.m., shooting gun nails, saws, and we're working right next to a residential place. So we gotta be good stewards of the neighbors. So if that's your kind of side gig and whatnot, probably not a right fit for this job. Lien waivers, that's just usually very simple paperwork. When we pay you, we expect that you sign this lien waiver. And that kind of goes along with the indemnity and whatnot. Again, it's just paperwork, but it's just stuff that we got to do. The owners have to present that to their, I guess, finance or bank in the end. So those are items that we got to contend with. The other big one is pay when paid. So when I submit a pay application to the owner, I've got to wait for them to pay me, and then I can pay you. Some guys will turn in an invoice and say, hey, Neil, I turned an invoice to you last week. I want to get paid this week. It doesn't work that way. I mean, unfortunately, I wish it would be that way, but we're not the bank either. So our contracts are always set up to pay when paid. So when we get paid in a certain short amount of time, it's your money, so I want to get you that check. So we're going to have our accounting department, once we get the check from the owner, it's going straight to you guys. So.
For the pay when paid, is there a specific, I guess it could be project to project, you know, but is there like a certain completion percentage that you get before you get like your first paycheck, or is that just like until the full project is completed?
So are you talking more for retainage or more just the first payment? So if you guys submit an invoice to me, we typically require that you guys submit an invoice to me no later than the 5th of every month. I submit my invoice or my pay application to the owner right around the 10th, 12th, depending if it falls on a weekend, whatever. They usually have, I don't know, 15 to 20 days afterwards to pay us. Once we get paid, then I think we have like maybe a 5-day window to get you guys out. But then again, that money's going to you. You've earned it, right? Now the only thing that would probably change that is if, which we'll talk about here in a minute, but the Davis bacon. If you guys are falling behind on your Davis bacon, that first couple of payments will go out. But then if you're falling behind in the Davis bacon, we have to say, hey, time out until you get your paperwork all squared away. Then you can get your payment in.
Okay. Yeah.
So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, there's just some companies that like are quite literally like pay until get paid like all the
No. We look at it as it's your money.
Yeah.
You've earned it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say we're not like the other guys. I don't want to do that.
I got you.
So
what about, like for example, materials?
So with this project, or at least the last project, I don't know, Bill, if you can answer this, because I'm assuming probably per the contract, there's probably going to be retainage.
Yeah, there will, Alex actually probably speak more to that kind of stuff. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Retainage? I'm assuming that'll be part of this contract?
Yeah, absolutely. 10% retainage will be held throughout the project, but when the work is completed, even before the project is done, we are willing to release the retainage, completely, unless there are any concerns in this technology.
So
retainage is typical to multi-family construction, and it's a requirement not only by the developer but by finance organizations as well.
So are you expecting like subcontractors to finance and say the roofing, the whole roofing project?
Not at one time. If the work is in place, then you can bill for it. But like for your instance of doing windows, if you send out a truckload of windows, then yes, you can bill me and I'll pass it through to them. Now, like the retainage on a material supplier, I know on the last one we did not have retainage on a material supplier, but if the contract was over a set limit, then we had retainage. Is that how this one will be structured, Alice?
That's right.
So We gotta-
So basically, the subcontractor's gonna fund everything, until we get paid. You're not like you know, you're not going to the local supply house and paying ahead of time.
No,
You're expecting us to carry the,
yeah, there's gonna be that short window, probably 45 to 60 days, like, so if you guys have to get the material out to the site, you turn in your invoice to me, and then we do our turnaround with the owner. So yeah, you could be at around a 60-day kind of window, roughly. But the way Brewster operates is, it's your money. You've done the work, we owe it to you. As long as everything's in good standings, then it's yours. So, I've heard of,
I mean, I've done this type of work before where you said Omaha,
well, our owners are inshore, in their different components.
they will, I mean, fill out the band, they will do it.
And there's certain elements, like elevators. For whatever reason, the elevator guys to secure that, there's a lot of that. So there will be instances such as that we will just have to work through. I mean, nobody's really in the mode of fronting funds until we get it, but there are certain applications that's what you have to use to secure the load. Like we buy granite from China or something like that. Typically, they're gonna want a certain amount up front. Probably not gonna happen on this one due to the tariffs, but there's always instances like that. So,
I'm sorry, what was the question? Was the question about the deposit?
more or less, yeah, just kind of fronting money for certain portions of the work.
Yeah, certain suppliers require deposits, and that's totally normal to the industry, right? We understand that, and we are willing, because if you present the invoice, we are willing to reimburse you, on the pay application. That's totally normal process.
No, good questions. Any other questions with pay?
I don't know if I'm interested, I'm sorry. So, as you were talking through the pay schedule, 10 days here, 20 days here. In my head, I had between 30 and 35 days, but then when you were saying approximately 60 days, I'm not sure around this 30 days.
That would be as if like we have to prepay. So if you're a subcontractor, yes, there's gonna be a point in time where depending upon what scope of work you do, you might have to go secure those materials, you turn in your invoice, so there could be a larger window there. I think with DeMar, Kevin, his was like more securing materials ahead of time.
Okay, so then my other question, you're using the term deposit and also using the word retainer. Retaining is 10%.
So retainage would be the amount of money that I'm gonna hold on a subcontractor throughout the course of the project, so that it's more or less make sure that the work gets done and done properly. I hate saying the word leverage, but it's making certain that you complete the scope of the work till the end of the job. But like Alex had indicated, that there are certain aspects of the contract where we could start reducing the retainage, start paying it out. So.
And then what about as far as an upfront deposit for work to be completed for the subs?
So typically we will not pay up front for that. Now, if you have to go secure materials or whatever, again, it kind of depends on what trade you're in and what you do, but if you're doing elevators are one, just they always require so much money up front. It's just the industry standard. But if you're like drywall, I mean, I'm not gonna pay $40,000 to secure drywall. Once you start hanging the drywall, then yes, I can start paying for that. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I just have trying to make sure, I know some of the things that I'll go to are earmarked towards, SBEs, those getting started, and so the county or concern or CLs or the others have things that are for small business owners, so that it's not a hindrance to participating because they may not have $40,000 up front for material development. So I don't know if Brewster or this organization has considered that, because the outreach for this seems to be for SBEs, which may not have the ability to front materials or their paper guys, whatever it might be, 60 days. So that's awesome, because that's a huge one.
Honestly, yes, I totally agree. I guess.
Yeah, I'd like to better understand your concern, so, perhaps maybe after the presentation, we can talk about this. So we realize the challenge is upfront, spending the money upfront on the materials, right? For a small business without a large credit line, it may be difficult. As long as, you guys can present us with the invoice and prove, the deposit, from whatever the supplier you have. And if it's reasonable, we are willing to, get that process. It may still take between 30 to 60 days, and the reason being is because there are a certain approval chain that we need to follow, right? There is a developer, there is a bank that needs to, review. They have their own inspectors, to review. So by the time it all gets approved and money funded to Brester and Brester cuts the check, it may be, 60 days. We always want to shoot for less than 30, but in reality, it's between 30 and 60 days. So, we can talk more about this, but, and, we are willing to pay for deposits, on certain materials, but the payment terms, usually 30 to 60 days.
I definitely like to talk to you more just because I want to make sure we're coming into rooms like this where the opportunities to be inclusive, that it's not being exclusive because of the need for the ability of funding up front to get in. So then it's like, well, these should really be kind of closed off individuals of a certain level, not ones that are matching up with a Section 3 individual, a Section 3 qualified individual who can't come in and do this project. They don't have the upfront money to wait 60 days.
Well, not every contractor has to spend a lot of money upfront on materials, right? There are a lot of trades that they come in, they provide the labor, and they get paid by the time they submit the pay application.
No, that's true. They may not have to pay a lot for the material, but they typically have to pay the crew.
This has come up before on other projects, and I'm gonna provide something, I guess, and if you wanna shoot me down, you can, but talk to Brester, after the meeting, and we'll see what can be done, and maybe there's an opportunity to do something that works for you and works for Brester. We've done that on other projects that we've worked with other general contractors, so, but that's probably a better way to kind of talk about what your needs are and what they need.
And I totally understand that. We've actually done it with some contractors or subs in the past where if you want to get paid on a week or every 2 weeks, you just got to take a discount because we're not a bank.
Okay.
But we have worked out those instances before in the past.
So a factory, using your in-house factory.
Pretty much. So we're willing to work. I mean, again, we're not, I won't say we're the other guys, but we have done this stuff before in the past. And so there's always opportunities to at least sit down and discuss it and stuff like that. So I just don't want it, I don't want it happening right before we're ready to sign the contract. But again, let's get your guys' bids. If you guys can work through all this stuff and whatnot, we're open here. We'll talk. So, thank you. Supervisor foreman to be present at all times. Again, a lot of guys might have to run to the store to grab something, Home Depot, totally get that. But we want to have somebody that's on site. I don't want a foreman that's running 4 different jobs that only shows up in the morning, and I can't find somebody to be able to talk to them when I need them. So again, that's kind of one of our big things. And then when the time comes, we have weekly link meetings. So again, that's where we talk about schedule. So we want to have somebody that's competent there that can talk intelligently about how we're facing the work, what's your guys' upcoming workload, just being part of the process. Because scheduling, we can't do our thing unless you guys are there too. So that's kind of our big ticket with that. Attending the owner, just short and sweet, I guess. Basically, you do something wrong, you can't come after me, you can't come after the owner. We just gotta, that's why we all have insurance, and we'll try and help out the best we can, but it's probably more legal, it's probably way over my head to get in the weeds on it, but that's usually part of our contract, is indemnity, the owner, and the restaurant. Insurance limits requirements, I don't have these memorized off the top of my head, but I certainly have them over there, so if you want to talk about what those limits are, we can certainly discuss those as well. Ocean compliance, our big thing, show up, got hard hat, no shoes, no sandals, no flip-flops, that kind of stuff. You show up with the right equipment to do the right scope of the job. If you're a roofer and you tell me you don't have fall protection, probably not gonna work. Go work somewhere else. Sorry, but that's just, we all want to be safe at the end of the day. and everybody can go home to their families. So those are just some of the basic common sense type of things that we ask for, and it becomes part of a contract as well. Submittals, if it's in your scope of work, in cabinet shops, whatever, we ask that you do those. We've had requests before in the past saying, I didn't read the spec book, and why should I have to do submittals, or you need to pay me for submittals, those kind of things. And then Davis-Bacon and associated reporting. This project does have Davis-Bacon requirements on it. That usually takes some time to do. We have a gal that's in-house for Resters. She's very smart and very apt to this information. She's good at what she does. She's willing to help. Now, I can't, or she can't do your weekly paperwork for you on filling out that in relations, but she's more than happy to help. But it does take time, so you guys have to factor that in. And then additionally, kind of along with those payments, you guys are falling behind in relations. There's a little bit of a grace window that we get with the city. We'll get you paid, but if you're not keeping up on that paperwork, the payments get shut off. So I think that is all I have. So questions?
You already have the lumber supply?
Not locked in yet, so I haven't signed any contracts. So if you guys have something, you're willing to submit a number on it, please send it to me. So, other questions?
Is there a certain percentage that you have to, for this project, in terms of small business and minority or women?
It's probably a better question for the city. I don't know all those. Maybe Zach can touch on
I'd like
that.
to provide the most opportunities possible, right? We still need to make sure that we hire qualified contractors. But, we do like to give as much opportunity to small businesses as possible.
Right, I would hope so, in general. But sometimes there's specific percentages that
They
you
may,
have to meet.
they may,
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, if you're interested in the, specifics, the city, may answer that. But, from the subcontractor perspective, we want to attract as many small businesses as possible.
I'll touch on it a little bit more.
Well, if nobody's got any questions, feel free to ask me at the end. But thank you guys for your time.
Hi everyone, my name is Zach, I'm with the city. So now we're going to be doing everyone's favorite part, the governmental requirements. So two things I'm really going to touch on tonight are Davis-Bacon. Davis-Bacon is a federal law requiring that workers on federally funded or assisted projects are paid the local and prevailing wage rates. And Section 3 is designed by HUD to promote local and economic development and self-sufficiency of lower income individuals and businesses. So who is subject to Davis-Bacon? Anyone who is working on the project who is doing manual labor. So any subcontractor, contractor, sub-tier contractor, if they're doing any physical manual labor on the job, they're subject to Davis-Bacon. Any administrative or office personnel or anyone doing like deliveries is not subject to Davis-Bacon. Apprentices and trainees are subject to Davis-Bacon. There's a little bit of stipulation with that as well. You must provide, it has to be a Department of Labor approved apprenticeship program. Upload that to Elation, and then you also must upload an approved DOL certification for each worker that's present, that's an apprentice. And then for owner-operators, they must identify themselves as the owner on the CPR and Elation and provide documentation to show that they are the owner and provide some documentation that they are also provided prevailing wage. Wage decision, I do have copies of example wage decisions over there at the City of Omaha table. We haven't had a set locked in wage decision for this specific project. But the one over on the table will probably be pretty similar to what this one is. The Department of Labor updates it every few months. This one was updated in May, I think was the last update, so it should be fairly similar. So the wage decision lists all the available work classifications and the prevailing wage for each worker classification. Each project has its own wage decision that will be included in the subcontractor agreement. So if you plan on bidding on this project, it's really important to have that wage determination so that you can figure out what you need to pay your employees or what you need to pay yourself if you're an owner-operator. Make sure that you can submit an accurate bid. Executive Order 14026 and 13658 do not apply to this project. You'll see that on the front page of the wage decision. Just ignore it. Additional work classifications, if like you're looking through it and you're a roofer, for example, and you don't see a roofer listed, you can reach out to me and I'll reach out to the Department of Labor and we'll get an additional work classification added for you. They'll do that all through Elation, so it's all electronic. It's pretty easy, pretty streamlined nowadays. Prevailing wage. Workers must be paid a prevailing wage, which is the hourly rate plus the fringe wage. So fringes can be anything from like a healthcare, a pension, a 401k, anything that's of benefit to the worker, and you can compensate it and make it make sense in an hourly format, break it down into an hourly format. And then, so just as an example right here, we have the prevailing wage, $47.08, and they divided it out to it's $30.50 plus $16.58 is $47.08. You can pay all of that in a cash fringe. You can do less in the cash and more in fringes. You can split it up however you want as long as you meet that $47.08 in the end. Davis-Bacon documentation. Workers must be paid on a weekly basis. That's one of the stipulations for Davis-Bacon. And then all of these need to be submitted to the Elation software that we touched on a little bit earlier. In addition to weekly certified payroll, contractors will be required to provide the following: subcontractor agreements, employee classification act affidavit, SAM registration or department and suspension form, state of Nebraska contractor registration, proof of E-Verify enrollment, and then they have to indicate whether they're Section 3 business, SED, ME, WB, or either. Contractors should also be prepared to provide, if it's applicable, a fringe benefit plan. So if you're paying some of your employees fringe benefits, you have to provide a plan so that I can review it and make sure that that makes sense. And then documentation, if there's any deductions from the employee's payroll, there has to be a signed document stating that the employee accepts that. So for compliance tracking with Davis-Bacon, prior to each project, Davis-Bacon orientation meeting will be held with all the subcontractors that have been selected for that project. This should include owners, supervisors, and anyone who is responsible for submitting those CPRs. Subcontractors will submit the compliance documents using the Elation system that we talked about a little bit earlier. City staff, myself, will conduct on-site interviews with the contractors, with the employees of the contractors, to make sure that what I'm seeing in Elation is actually what's happening in person. A labor standards compliance officer will evaluate the project's compliance and can help address any questions or concerns that might occur. Again, that's myself. So if there's any questions that you might have during the project, feel free to reach out to me. My cards are on the table over there, and then I'm sure if you win your bid for this project, we'll be in touch at some point down the road. So kind of getting into Section 3, again, if you're interested in certifying your business as a Section 3 business, which also just helps with the city in general, if you want to work on some smaller projects that we have as well. I have forms over there for that. So some definitions of Section 3 business to qualify for that. There's 3 different ways that you can go about that. Is if more than half of your business is owned by someone who would be considered low income. The Department of Labor just recently updated that number to $63,700 annually. That's a single person, single family residence. It's not a family, it's just one person, whatever that income is. If 75% of the labor hours performed by your business are by people below that $63,700 threshold, or if more than half of your business is owned by someone who receives public housing residence, assistance or is a recipient of Section 8 housing. Section 3 worker is defined as someone who is low income that falls below that threshold that we talked about earlier. It's someone who is employed by a Section 3 business concern or is a participant in the youth build program. And then a targeted Section 3 worker is anyone, again, who's employed by a Section 3 business, a resident of Southside Terrace or other OHA managed housing or recipients of Section 8 assisted housing, or anyone who's a youth build participant. Section 3 documentation for business certification. So these are just all the documentation that you have to provide if you would like to certify your business as Section 3, going through those 3 ways that you can do that we talked about just a second ago. So if you go that first route, you would have to provide proof of ownership, just showing all owners and their percentage of ownership. And then a completed Section 3 worker form, which again, I said I have over there, for the owner of the business. If you would like to do it, if someone is 51% of the ownership is by someone who receives public housing residence or Section 8 housing residence, you have to provide proof of that, and then provide a Section 3 worker form as well. And then if you want to go the route of the 75% of the labor hours, you'd have to provide 90 days of payroll showing all the workers that worked during that pay period, how much they were paid, how many hours they worked, just a full breakdown of that. And then complete a Section 3 worker form for all those workers that are on that payroll. And for Section 3 reporting, this kind of goes with that question that was asked earlier. Each project is required to meet these requirements. 25% of the project's total labor hours are required to be performed by Section 3 workers, and 5% of the project's total labor hours are required to be done by targeted Section 3 workers. Each project is evaluated by tracking construction labor hours over the course of the construction. Each contractor will be required to report on the following: total labor hours, Section 3, and targeted Section 3 hours. At the start of the project, all contractors will be required to prepare a Section 3 plan, which includes the list of the company's workforce, a list of the project's workforce, and then identifying any work or hiring needs that need to be done to complete the work on the specific project. The reason that we do that is because if we have people that just fill out the Section 3 worker forms, they're a Section 3 worker and they do masonry, they want to get on a project, and then we have a masonry company and they say, hey, we need three mason tenders. Okay, we go, all right, we got three guys right here that need work. Hook them up, and that qualifies you if you're that business owner, that masonry business owner. That helps you meet that threshold for Brester. Contractors are also encouraged to engage in other efforts to train employees for low-income residents. Are there any questions right now? I know that was really wordy presentation. Okay. Thanks. This is an interested contractor survey form. If you're interested in doing any work with the City of Omaha at all, it's good to fill out. If you're interested in joining that Section 3 business certification, like I talked about earlier, that's a good thing to fill out. And then these are a bunch of the places that you can reach out to for any technical assistance that you might need. Thank you.